Hey everyone, let's do the 3 higher realms, the Deva Realm. It's the latest boss rush we got from the Ashura's Pilgrimage. I want to preface this with EX levels do not matter. All you need is EX plus 1 on 2 units, and that is good. The other two are the standard units. And you will see that, so no items within 5 turns total. That applies 5 turns for all 3 bosses and a party of 4 or less for the crystal. This is the party we are using. And what do I mean with EX levels don't matter? As long as you have EX plus 1 Yigni and Louise, you're fine. You should have EX plus 3 Titus by now. He was 3 to EX plus 3 2 months ago, I believe. And Squall, you get his 200 shards or more even. Basically, he is 3 to EX plus 3 as well. All you need to do is awaken him to NVA and you get the shards from EX coins from the refreshed shop. Okay, yeah, let's check out the gear. I used very low tier gear here for this. So base form Yigni doesn't have anything. We will stay in Brave Shift for all eternity. He's using, and that's the fun part here. I am using bad weapons. You should be using variance weapons. Neither Dark Fina, these have the standard 1.1 to 1.2 variants, as you can see. They don't have the good variance stuff. And there's far better. Anyways, you should actually, if you have the gearing options, you should force true double hand on both Yigni and Louise, by the way. But with this being a budget guide, I'm just assuming the worst case scenario, you having no real clue about the game or just don't have the necessary items to force through double hand. So this is what it is. Most of it is basically free stuff. Lordly robes is from the parameters quest. Let me just drink it a little bit. Pearl and Cursed Doll are free from trials. Keepsake Locket is Cacteria's TMR, his own TMR. Lots of decent stuff though. But 5.4k magic, which isn't the highest, and his own vision card, or her own vision card. And they got 290 fairy, which is and 225 human. Yigni won't do much damage, but Yigni's huge upside is that Yigni has floating shadow in his kit, 30% dark amp to the party. It's also an imbue, which is super cool. Yigni also has a 130 dark apparel. All 3 bosses are weak to dark. Everything else is they are resistant to by 120%, meaning you should be going for dark. Also rather useful is Vitality Fountain, which is a 30% magic field for Louise. Alright, let's check out Titus. The Prince of the Prince of budget guides, together with Squall, being the king in that regard. So he's got a few things. Riser's Crown is free. You should all have Masamune. It was given out for, it wasn't for free, but it's orange, 7-star orange TMR. You really should have this by now. Plumage Fina's dress, Guy's belt, Soul of Palladia, lots of free stuff, basically. And I'm assuming for this that you actually played during the Dragon Quest Dimension World. Most of you did, but I won't have this vision card for long, honestly. At some point I will stop using it because the Vision World or the Dragon Quest Die banner is too long ago. But for the time being, I feel like this is a very fair assumption because people really love either Dai or Baran, and you got this card from either one. But I'm using only one of these cards, so rest assured it's fine. Okay, next up is Squall. Oh, by the way, star player Titus has 275 human, 300 fairy, and 285 LB. It's a little bit obscured, but 285 it is. Squall, similar attack power, lots of stuff, another guy belt, you'll be swimming in those. And yeah, he gears a little bit more easily for everything. He's got 300 LB, 300 human, 250 fairy. Yeah, looks decent, I'd say. And lastly, we got Louise. Louise, both forms are identically geared. Blue Storm, again, just no real variance, honestly. Which isn't ideal. You could also force to double hand on her for more DPS, but I'm not doing that. Make sure to equip Overclocked Cannon. It was given out for free to everybody, which is her new so-called intrinsic ability. It boosts magic by 8%. It also provides 2000 static magic. And what it also does is increases her LB modifier by 80x, but we're not using her LB damage in this regard. And she's using her own vision card. So Louise has 200% Omnikiller, meaning she's rather easy to give for human and fairy. Now, the first two bosses are Human Reaper, though. We didn't give for this. It's going to be fine. But if you have the necessary gear, you have more slot efficient gear pieces, you could also gear for Reaper. And I believe the first one is Demon as well. So if you have enough pieces for that, go for it. And the Brave Shift, identical gearing, no changes. So we are completely foregoing Mirage. The only one, and I forgot to mention, this is super important, is Titus needs to be at a 100% light resist. That is for the last fight. Everybody else has guts to proc guts on the first turn because we can't one-shot the final boss, meaning the boss is going to do a light attack. Titus needs resistance and everybody else has guts. What is also super important is that you have re-ray or race on Yigni. It doesn't matter. One of your units needs race. Race is coming from Phoenix. It's rather cheap, 80. You need only 80 points to get this. It's needed for the second stage, and I will see why. So let me just quickly readjust the ordering of the units for a little bit easier chaining on my end, because I hated it last time. So actually, let me just change this around. Sorry for fiddling with this stuff so much. Yigni should go first. Okay, now a Tamaguchi. Let's go. So the reason why I'm fiddling so much with this is basically I have my macro set for 1-2 and slot 1-2, which are Yigni and Louise, and slot 4-5, which are Titus and Squad. Alright, we'll start this off with the Yigni, Floating Shadow, which is the aforementioned Imbue and Amp, Vitality Fountain for the magic field, Seal of Doom, which also is an 85% defense and Spirit Break, and we'll do Soul Projection for the 130% Dark Imperil. Louise is going to use Modified Power Boost, which boosts resistance to status reductions. The boss will reduce our stats by some amount. We can cover this by being resistant to it. We will also do Diverse Arsenal for killer buffs for the entire party. It's only 50%, but that's good enough. Tactical Armor and Ionic Fire Blaster to actually line up the what's it called? The chaining. Okay, Titus is going to triple Spiral Cut. Now, I've read that some people have issues chaining Stardust Ray. If that is the case, you can use Quick Hit, but Quick Hit hits a little bit for a little bit less than Stardust Ray. The same applies to Squall. But if you have better gear, you can just use Quick Hit to easier chain Bolting Strike instead of Stardust Ray. So we'll start this off with Yigni and Louise. We'll wait until a few casts are done and then send in both Stardust Ray Chainers. Oh yeah, we almost did half of the boss's HP. So the boss now buffed himself with Mirage. It's called Blink. And as you can see at the left here, next to his left foot, you see a Mirage on him. So it is, I believe, either 1 or 2 stacks. It should be 2, I'm not quite sure. But it doesn't matter, because both Yigni and Louise have physical chain moves, meaning they do count for that Mirage, and we can get easily rid of that. So we'll do just that, triple disarming and neutralizing to top this off. Meanwhile, both Titus and Squall will triple chain Stardust Ray. Okay, so we'll start this off again with Yigni and Louise to get rid of the Mirage stacks. And we'll follow this up with Titus and Squall. And this should easily close out this fight. There we go. Not even breaking a sweat. So we used 2 out of 5 turns. Easy. And here comes the neat trick, which you should all be aware the boss is human and Reaper. Meaning if any boss is typed Reaper, you can use Raise. You click Raise, you select target, select the boss, and the fight is over. I'm switching Louise to base form right away because we're gonna need her base form. Raise the boss, and it's dead. Rather cool, right? I like this interaction to actually insta-kill Reapers with Raise. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. And this is one of the cases where it does work. Okay, final round. There's 2 options here. I will go for the safe route, because at this point, no matter what your EX level is, you should have your SLB ready. So we'll start again with Floating Shadows. We'll Vitality Fountain. And we're gonna Seal of Doom and Soul Projection. Louise is going to incapacitate target, 90% Spirit Break. She is going to Power Boost. I forgot to tell you guys, it's also a stat buff, 250%. We'll do Racial Killers. And we'll do Ionic Fire Blaster. Titus is going to Ace's ability and double Spiral Cut. Squall is going to We Chose to Fight Back, which is also his personal amp, but more so we want this for the LB boost, because at this point I believe the SLB boost is gone. I'll need to make sure whether this is actually the case. Do they still have the SLB boost or not? Yeah, they both have not, so we need the SLB buff. Or the limit burst buff to actually deal some decent damage. Okay, so we're gonna chain this up. Start with these 2. And send these 2. Already did a fair chunk of HP, which is cool. So here's the light attack I mentioned, and that's why everybody's wearing Guts and Titus is immune to it. We are fine. Also, because we are on Phoenix and Phoenix sometimes heals Yigni a little bit, we can actually go for his quad cast yet again. Because Soul Projection, unless you're 1 HP, won't kill you because it always takes 5% of your current HP, meaning we will always be fine. Unless we are at 1 HP, which we're not. So we'll quad cast Soul Projection, we're shifting Louise. And she's going to disarming 3 times and neutralizing. Meanwhile, both Squall and Titus will super limit burst. And yeah, that's going to be the end of this fight. So let's send these 2 in. Let's send these 2 in. And I hope I click this in time. Oh yeah, Squall already made quick work of that. And there it is. All missions, 5 turns. We heavily overkilled that one, for sure. So let's check out the damage. Yigni surprisingly deals quite a lot of damage when he can. So yeah, not too shabby. On the same level as Lone Lion Squall. Now granted, most of it actually came from the very last fight. He didn't really do too much on the first two. Actually, I don't know. How does re-raise work? How does raise work? Does it just account for total damage done on that second boss? I'm not sure. But no matter what it is, we know Starplate Hiders and Lone Lion Squall did the brunt of the damage. And yeah, Louise chipped in with some. And that is it. All missions. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful. And oops, if you're looking for substitutions, because I forgot to mention substitutions. So substitutes. If you don't have Louise, you could use Olivera, for example. And as for Yigni, you're gonna have a bad time without Yigni, honestly, because the only better option is Bulwark. Next one would be Dark Fina, the new one. So I hope you use Yigni, but he was free last Clash season, and I believe Luis is free now from Clash. So get him. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Bye bye.